The champion, Bernard Hopkins, on the right as the challenger. The 13-year age gap, so potentially significant in the bout. They're both 6 feet 1 inches tall, as we have always said, uncommonly tall for middleweights. Arm length advantage of 4 inches for Taylor. Significant if he can do what he didn't do in the first fight, land his jab. Taylor weighing in 1 pound under the 160-pound limit. Hopkins, who was 157 last time, markedly heavier this time at 160, and unofficially they are both overnight up to exactly 169 pounds. Punch stat numbers from the first fight, Larry Merchant.
Here are the totals. Hopkins landed 10 more in a fight that was very slow paced for 2/3 of the way. Taylor threw more punches, won most of the early rounds. And there you see why Taylor had so much difficulty in the late rounds. He was only landing 3 jabs a round. Hopkins took it away from him. What can Taylor do to counter that tonight?
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Jermain Taylor Bernard Hopkins fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight in case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt. We go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
And an unaccustomed experience for Bernard Hopkins. Wearing the executioner mask, he prepares to enter the ring as the challenger.
I think that Bernard Hopkins' face is scarier when you see it. He's got the
never the one-punch knockout power.
That's what he's talking about doing this time around, and there's a brief encounter you saw between Hopkins and Taylor's promoter, Lou DiBella. So much was made last time of the blood feud between them. DiBella recently, incidentally, collected the $750,000 check, which Hopkins had to pay him as the result of the libel judgment against Hopkins. Hopkins says, "This is no longer about me and DiBella. I was distracted by my feather up the butt for DiBella and his up the butt for mine, and it's not going to happen this time around." Now here comes the middleweight champion of the world. If, as everybody points out, he believes that he's the middleweight champion of the world.
Now, I think he definitely believes it.
roughly 4,000 Arkansans have come here to see the only professional sports franchise in the state. Not the likeliest place for a born, bred, trained middleweight champion to come from.
Small town boy with small town values, humility, still a whole lot of yes sir, no sir in him. Yesterday I asked an Arkansas writer if Jermain Taylor ran against Bill Clinton for governor of Arkansas right now, who wins? And he said that would be just as tough a call as picking Taylor against Hopkins. They're back. Will it be round 13 or will it be round 1? Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino of Las Vegas, Nevada, DeBella Entertainment and Golden Boy Promotions is proud to present the main event of the evening, the rematch the world has been waiting for. 12 rounds of boxing for the Undisputed Middleweight Championship of the world. Sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star. And Ice Link timepieces, presented in association with HBO Pay-Per-View, sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission Chairman Skip Avancino Jr., Executive Director Mark Ratner. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest on the 10-point system will be Chuck Giampa, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Dave Moretti. And inside the ring, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Jay Nady. And now, from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with red, his official weight, 160 pounds. His professional record, an outstanding one. 46 victories, including 32 knockouts, only 3 defeats with 1 draw and 1 no decision. Tonight, after more than a decade of only victories, he comes to the ring as a challenger. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trimmed with red, his official weight, 159 pounds. He has a perfect professional record consisting of 24 bouts, 24 victories, including 70 knockouts. Tonight, he plans to show the world that he is, without a doubt, the ultimate in this division. From Little Rock, Arkansas, the reigning, defending, undisputed, undefeated middleweight champion of the world, Jermain Bad Intentions Taylor.
Excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
I mean it.
Alex, and one in a corner man. Get him up. One guy.
Yeah, stand over here.
Right here.
Okay, I can sit. I'm coming, you guys. Let's not start the fight yet. You have any questions? Obey my commands. Do you want to touch gloves? Okay, don't.
Yeah.
Let's go to work.
All right.
The older guys got to fight younger. The younger guys got to fight older.
recent weeks, for the second time in his career, Bernard Hopkins parted company with his longtime trainer and something of a father figure to him, Bowie Fischer. He says it will have absolutely no effect. The man who's training him tonight, Nassim Richardson, has been a chief second in the corner for 9 years. And I know, Roy, you believe at this stage of Bernard's experience, he can fight just as well with or without Bowie Fischer.
Yeah, I feel like he can fight just as well with or without Bowie because he's been doing it for so long, you know? I mean, Bernard's 40 years old. Who's going to change him at this point in his career?
Hopkins tried an early attack. Taylor countered it with some hard punches in the corner. Jay Nady warns Jermain Taylor immediately for hitting Hopkins on the back of the head. And there goes the question of whether the kid will insist on fighting a totally clean fight again.
Well, he decided to be a little proactive, not waiting for Hopkins to do it first.
And I'm sure his trainer, Pat Burns, is extremely pleased with that.
I'm definitely pleased with that because it shows that he's not giving Bernard too much respect this time.
He wants Bernard Hopkins to understand right here in round one that it's not man against boy, it's man against man.
Well, I don't like the fact that he's letting his head sit so still right here either because this would give Bernard Hopkins a perfect opportunity to set up a big punch. I would like to see Jermain move his head from side to side a little more.
It shows that Jermain wants to try to set up a big punch.
Yeah, but when you're looking for a big punch, that's when you're most susceptible to be caught by a big punch.
Taylor still having trouble finding the target with the jab. Still tentative on whether to release the jab, it seems, but now he begins to let it go in the middle of the ring. Hopkins, after that one early flurry and attack, measured in his pace, as is almost always the case. First few rounds of the last fight were a war of nerves. Crowd begins to get edgy as they see the same thing developing here.
Well, Jermain got to make sure that he doesn't get discouraged about the crowd because the crowd, of course, wants to see blood, but he cannot go in and make a crazy mistake early.
Hopkins got in a little right hand in close quarters there. Taylor letting his right hand go to the rib cage a couple times. No big contact in that greeting.
And Hopkins creeped in right behind the head that Jay Nady didn't see.
Taylor hooking off the jab, something he didn't do in the last fight, but he missed the jab and the hook and the right hand. And Hopkins gives him a little grin, as if to say, you still can't hit me.
Those are the feints right there that I was talking about, but that Jermain Taylor had to use. He's stumping that left foot to feint a jab at Bernard, and Bernard has to react to it.
Stop. No.
Taylor reaching with his left hand there, not really in range to land. He was wild with the right hand in the first fight, and one of the biggest things he has to do tonight is to control that. Round one comes to a close.
Okay, everything's on top, baby. We working. Stretch out for me. All right? Trying to rest.
Yes, he's trying to lay back. Save something for the end. He's going to come on that 30-second bell, but your posture kept him off. Give me that same stance. Take that right angle, okay? Force him back.
You can double up on that jab without getting too close. Keep the left hand up. What he's going to look to do, he's going to try to counterpunch your jab, come back over here with the right hand. So we're going to show those little bit of angles, and we're going to split the glove. One time, or you had that foot over here again. Kick it right down the middle, all right? When you start your attack, he's going to drop. Get those shots in. I don't care if you come over in here and here, get those shots in. Use speed.
That was a painfully difficult round to score because nothing happened. Neither man landed a jab. Taylor 0 for 12, Hopkins 0 for 8. Taylor landed 3 punches in the round, Hopkins 2 by CompuBox count. How to pick one up?
I scored the round even.
I think that was a very good idea. Well, if anybody expected a big Hopkins assault in the first 3 rounds, it hasn't materialized yet. Bernard still seems to want to pace himself. Now he fires a right over the top, and Taylor comes back with several body punches.
Stop. Now box.
And you can see the tremendous amount of respect that they have for one another when they're in close quarters because they both grab each other and clinch like there's no tomorrow.
Are we looking at 2 natural counterpunchers? Is that why there's so little action here, Roy?
Most definitely. Anytime you have that, neither guy wants to give up his set because he knows that the other guy is going to counter.
I don't think Taylor's that much of a counterpuncher. I just think Hopkins has such a good defense and movement that he's finding it hard to get started.
Is Jermain even more reluctant to risk something now as the result of what he experienced in the last 4 rounds of the first fight?
No, he's just waiting on Bernard Hopkins to make a mistake or engage him, then he will counter.
Hopkins' big right hand was partially blocked. Taylor was short with that left hand. It's still a war of nerves in there. They trade left hooks. Taylor does more damage.
That was more a case of Hopkins lunging in and being off balance.
Taylor landed a jab and fired a right hand with conviction, but missed. At close range, Taylor gets in a couple body shots, so does Bernard.
Taylor just can't get impatient here and lose self-control.
Hopkins still has yet to land a jab in the fight. Taylor's been given credit by CompuBox for getting in a couple here in the second round. Neither man has really opened up offensively, obviously.
And I think this crowd is going to make Taylor do something, whether it be good or bad, but it's going to make him start to advance Hopkins more very shortly.
Crowd's comfortable with the way Hopkins fights. They expect that.
They're used to it. And it's smart for Hopkins because he's being patient, trying to wait Taylor out, let Taylor wear down a little bit, then he'll engage more.
I can't understand how anybody can be understanding of what Hopkins does.
You can let go, please.
It's past understanding because it's just boring.
But it's won him a lot of fights. Taylor threatening Hopkins and getting in a little right hand after missing, but getting him to the ropes. For sheer aggression, you might think Taylor won that round.
Stay relaxed, you're a little bit tight. Stay relaxed, okay? Look, when you walk his ass to the rope like you're doing that, he's just looking for a little way to get the hell out of there. Touch him, go up, down. You can impress these judges just going up and down, throwing 3 or 4 punches. That was nice, but you can do a series like that in the beginning, maybe one in the middle. Don't wait so long. Slow your breathing down.
Him relax. He hoping the rounds just come to him. Don't let him sit back like that. Keep him working. Keep him working. He's trying to wait to the end of the round, shoe shine.
Here we saw earlier, Hopkins just kind of fell off balance. They traded left hooks, but I don't think nothing landed flush. Then right here you saw Taylor missing with a straight right hand, and he backed back into the ropes. But the crowd just wants to see some blood so bad that they will panic at any type of flinch.
CompuBox numbers in round 2. Taylor given credit for 8 landed punches and 27 thrown. Hopkins 5 out of 20. Harold Letterman has divided the first 2 rounds between the fighters. Hopkins' corner is yelling at him during the rounds that Taylor isn't going to start fighting until the 5th. How they've gauged that, hard to say.
Well, Taylor's the younger fighter. He's the guy with something to prove here more so than Bernard Hopkins, so he'll be forced to push the issue shortly.
Now he landed the jab there, and you saw the pop on it. As Pat Burns says, that's not a rangefinder jab. That's not a tactical jab. That's a jab that can hurt opponents. When he lands it, it's true. He didn't get it there in the first fight.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopkins getting a little more aggressive. Perhaps realizing that Taylor is beginning to outdistance him, at least in terms of sheer numbers of punches.
Once upon a time, Hopkins was a lion who chased down his prey. Now he's an old lion who waits in the weeds and hopes something comes by.
Midway through the 3rd round. Hopkins beginning to pick his spots just a little bit more.
Stop! Thank you.
By his own admission, Jermain Taylor was tight, nervous, and ultimately exhausted from his own nerves in the first fight. Do you think he's any more relaxed here, Roy?
Yeah, he's a lot more relaxed, but he still has a lot of intense feelings while he's in there. He's not really sure of himself right now. He's really not sure what to do. And because they are engaging so quick and so awkwardly, they headbutted in the first fight. They very well could headbutt again even quicker in this fight. Both guys.
It's staccato action.
Yeah.
They look and look and look and suddenly move toward each other.
Exactly. Nobody can tell when the other guy's really coming. So anything can happen.
Taylor is starting to look much more comfortable throwing his jab. He's still not landing it with great consistency. Gets in a little left hook there as Hopkins comes in, and Hopkins isn't able to accomplish anything offensively. This round is very much like the first several rounds in the first fight, when simply by being more active, not necessarily by being effective, Taylor was able to persuade the judges that he was winning.
But Taylor can easily lose control here. He has to be very careful.
Bad motherfucker. Now, this is what we talking about. See with the feints? The feints make you misjudge your attack. You understand me? That's why you have to keep the feint. Makes him waste energy. This is a light heavyweight. He about to turn into a super middleweight. Then he's gonna be a middleweight. By the end of this thing, he's gonna be a junior middleweight and he get knocked out. But I need that jab to...
You can get him with that jab. You can pick him. You're back a little bit. I'm telling you, he's looking for one punch. Let your feet and your hands work together. Just work the little angles. Split that glove. Split those feet. Okay? You're not touching. Touch him. Split the feet with that left foot, right? Work that jab. He's going to drop. Then come down hard to the bottom. Stay loose as a goose. Let's go, guys.
It's the expectation of most that this fight is likely, as was the case the first time around, to go the distance. That means the judges are the most important three people in the room. Harold, how do you have it through three?
Okay, Jim. You know, I'll tell you something. A fight like this requires real concentration by the judges. You gotta watch it close, guys. And that's all there is to it. 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Jermain Taylor. In round 1, I thought Bernard Hopkins was a little bit busier, Larry. In rounds 2 and 3, I thought Jermain Taylor got the better shots. But you got to watch. The one thing that gets me is the fact that every time there's a clinch, Bernard Hopkins is holding just like he is there, hard as all heck, and banging away to the kidneys with the free hand.
I have it 2 rounds for Taylor and 1 even.
Roy, Bernard Hopkins, by CompuBox count, still has not landed a jab in the fight. Significant?
No, I don't think he is looking to land a jab here. I think he's just looking to put big shots on Jermain Taylor. His arms are definitely not as long as Jermain. We saw that in the Taylor tape, and I think it would be crazy for him to try to out-jab Jermain Taylor when Jermain's best punch is his jab.
And he's starting to get it going just a little bit. He landed a jab there that gave him a chance to try an overhand right. He almost hit Hopkins on the back of the head there, and he gets in a good little left hook as Hopkins is coming in on him again. Second time he's caught Hopkins walking in. Now Hopkins finally lands a jab flush on the nose.
Jermain, you're holding. Okay, stop. Yeah, wait. That's not cool. Keep your head out of his face.
Nady trying to keep Hopkins from butting. And Hopkins is a subtle and skilled butter, according to his opponents.
That's why Nady has this assignment for the 2nd time in a row.
And there's a couple of good jabs by Taylor and a left hook thrown with conviction. And Bernard didn't get anything done in close. So the fight is beginning to assume a very similar pattern to the first time around. Taylor more active in the first few rounds. Hopkins trying to wear him down tactically.
And I think Hopkins is starting a little earlier this time.
Well, it's 2-8. He held off too long.
Like I said, I don't like the fact that Jermain Taylor is standing right there with a veteran like Bernard Hopkins with his head right in one spot. It's very easy for Bernard to set him up with a big shot.
Taylor again missing over the top with the right. But he's landing his jab with considerably more frequency than the first time around. In this round, he's landed 6 out of 16 jabs. There's another one there. So it's starting to happen with the jab from Jermain Taylor. Now, that may create some opportunities for Hopkins, too.
Yeah, because Bernard is getting more fluent. He's starting to warm up a little bit, and he's starting to be able to see the difference in the skill level here.
And again, Taylor hooked off the jab, and again, Taylor was more active in that round.
Can't let him steal the play from us, all right? Can't let him steal the play from us. And anytime he swing, they scoring for him, whether it hit or not. But here's what we're doing right.
Don't throw your nose, babe.
That jab, you see what I'm talking about now. Amateurs don't fight inside. They hold. I need you to lead with that.
And you're crowding yourself. He's dropping, so your range is off a little bit. You got to give yourself a little bit of room. He's giving you some opportunities when he drops to go underneath. You understand? He's dropping, go underneath a little bit. The key thing here is he's looking for a right hand. You stay flat-footed. He's going to score once in a while. Show your little angles, use your feet. Ozell? Yeah. Hey, when you work that left hand, Sam, here, you're scoring, really.
Interesting comment from Hopkins' corner. Amateurs don't fight inside, they just hold. So you can imagine Hopkins trying to get inside more often.
Jabs in the fourth round. Taylor landed 8 out of 20 to 4 out of 9 for Hopkins. Harold Letterman has given 3 straight rounds to Taylor as we come to the 5th. Pat Burns sounded a little like you, Roy, when he asked Jermain to move back and create a little more space between himself and Bernard Hopkins.
How much more space can there be?
It's about the timing and the space. Good shot.
There's a straight right hand by Hopkins, his best punch of the fight so far.
And that's the punch I told you that he's been able to land since round 1 because Jermain Taylor is standing so still with no head movement.
That quick, sneaky, often withering right hand, usually thrown as a counterpunch, devastatingly accurate by Bernard Hopkins. Taylor a little uncertain of himself as Hopkins rips him with a body chop. That's the best minute of the fight so far for Bernard Hopkins. And he lands a left hook after backing Taylor up with the butt.
There they clashed heads again, too. Jermain Taylor said that he wanted to throw more straight right hands instead of the looping rights, but it seems to me as though he's still looping the right a little bit. I don't know what Bernard is doing to throw him off, but for some reason his right seems to come over the top instead of straight down the pipe.
And Taylor got a jab to Hopkins' chest and just missed over the top with the right hand. Burns pointed out to Taylor between rounds that Hopkins is effectively ducking his right hand. He needs to change the angle. Jab lands again for Taylor.
Stop, so you're both holding there. Now box.
Bernard Hopkins is so adept at getting off quick punches inside that have their effect.
And what I like about Bernard Hopkins right now is that he's always moving. So it's easier for him to start without Jermain Taylor knowing it. Jermain Taylor is sitting so still till he has to start, get on his toes first before he can move. And usually Bernard Hopkins is there already.
Straight right hand lands for Taylor and backs Hopkins off. That was a punch Taylor didn't land many times in the first fight.
Nope.
Almost landed that one, but missed over the top. Taylor leading with the right hand twice in a row.
Let me stop.
A little of the old Hopkins medicine.
Make the investment. Make the investment. Right there. Make the investment.
Taylor suddenly looking much more confident, even though Hopkins had a good minute in this round. They both try to steal it in the closing seconds.
Around to the angle. When he comes up, you're going to be over here. Okay? It's the first time you've executed that all night. Okay? A little bit better on overshooting him, too. Don't put any cold water on him. Okay? You understand? You got him dropping, and you came back up underneath. He's going to drop into that left hand. You can do a lot of things off that left hand. You can hook off that left hand. When he drops, get underneath that side. Okay?
That lead right hand is there. All right? I need that double hook. I got you. When you made the investment, you came back with a hook. Again, the double hook. He won't get away from a double hook.
I got you. I'm feeling good. Keep it out.
And my jab is stiff and strong.
Here we see B-Hop feigning left and right, then he sneaks that straight right hand right down the pipe. You couldn't ask for a cleaner shot from that, like that by the ex-champ.
Hopkins given credit in the round for a 7-2 edge in power connects. So a mini comeback for Hopkins after our judge, Harold Letterman, had given the three preceding rounds to Taylor. Letterman gave that round to Taylor, too, just as was the case in the first fight. Jermain Taylor is building a working margin, at least on the unofficial scorecard of Harold Letterman.
But he's getting over anxious right now. He's really itching to land a big punch here, and this may not work to his advantage. Hopkins is much too smart to get overconfident or over anxious with.
Do you think there's any chance, because of his physical strength and vibrancy, that Jermain Taylor could knock Bernard Hopkins out? Or is Hopkins, because of his fighting style, virtually knockout-proof?
Oh, no, he can knock him out, but he's so anxious and he's trying so hard to punch so hard until it's much easier for Bernard Hopkins to see the punches coming.
Hopkins gets in a right and a left after Taylor clocked him to the left, and Jermain fights back this time with 2 left hooks inside.
But Jermain has a cut on the ridge of his nose from that right hand.
Well, he has a spot of blood on the ridge of his nose, and he stops Hopkins in his track with a jab.
Now, that was a jab that had the power of a right hand. That was about as stiff a jab as you're going to see.
And it sets up a very aggressive right hand by Taylor. And Hopkins has to be a little wary right now as the kid is getting very rambunctious in front of him. Once again, as Roy Jones points out, Taylor will create opportunities for Hopkins if he's trying to think of a big punch.
And that's what Hopkins is waiting for.
Good jab by Hopkins. Taylor shakes his head as if to say, all right, you caught me. Good jab by Taylor. Another good jab by Taylor. Hopkins is learning to be wary of the Taylor jab. Gets Hopkins off balance against the ropes and lands a right hand.
Good right hand. I don't think he had much conviction on it, but it was a good punch.
You know, I think there's a certain nervous energy about Hopkins in this fight. We've seen him off balance, throwing wild punches, much more than is his custom.
Not at the beginning of the fight, but no question now. Jermain Taylor has gotten the jab out of it bang. He is landing it with much greater frequency than was the case in the first fight. Hopkins probably expected that could happen.
There's that straight right hand again that Bernard Hopkins lands once Jermain Taylor is stationary.
Stop. Let go, please. Thank you very much. Now we can box.
Tactical fight, the kind of fight Hopkins has been winning routinely for years throughout his career. But Jermain Taylor is a far better athlete than most of the guys Hopkins erased in his career.
He's a better athlete, but his skill level still has a long ways to go.
Technically, there's no way he's as good as Bernard. Lively round. One of the best they've fought.
All right? Do not let him steal this thing, X. Fire down that hole. When he dive in with that stretch, I need you to fire down. You understand me? Do not let him steal this, X.
7th round coming up, guys.
He's going to try to fight now, X. These are the rounds he saved.
Still got the ability to sneak that damn right hand there. A real good disciplined jab and do some stuff off it. Make him look bad now. He's starting to get a little tired. Come to your little angles.
Here you see Bernard Hopkins land a beautiful left hook to the right behind the ear of Jermain Taylor. Then Jermain Taylor comes back with one of those great jabs of his own. And to me, that is his best and most effective punch.
And Taylor's jab was the story of that round. He landed 11 out of 22, 16 to 39 punches overall. Statistically, it's by far the best round he's fought against Bernard Hopkins. We're into the 7th, Harold. How do you have it?
Okay, Jim. 5 rounds to 1, 59, 55, Jermain Taylor. Jim, I just think the bigger guy is landing the stronger, harder shots, and that's what it comes down to. I see something that's very, very strange, Jim. Bernard Hopkins, when he throws a left jab, even that right hand, after the punch, always looks down. I don't know why. He hasn't been doubling anything. It seems to me as if he's almost looking towards the camera so he won't get hit with something over the top.
I have it a much closer fight. I have it 3 rounds to 2 and for Taylor and 1 even.
Hopkins just landed that beautiful straight right hand again, and Harold, the reason he's ducking after the punches is because he's looking for a counter punch by Jermain Taylor. So he's trying to keep his chin down after he throws a big punch.
Now this may be a huge mistake, but increasingly Jermain Taylor wants to trade with Bernard Hopkins. He's feeling his oats in there. He thinks, as Harold Letterman said, that he's the stronger man. It's clear in the way he's fighting.
He's the stronger man, but I'd rather take wisdom over power any day.
Jermain, your whole shot. Hey, stop. Once you grab his hand, you get a leg over here.
You and most ringside experts, for sure. Although with the betting public, it was seen as an even fight. Good left hook by Hopkins.
Stop. You're doing the holding here.
Nady looking at Taylor when he says you're doing the holding. Straight right hand lands for Hopkins quick.
You're holding. You can't hold his head.
And Jermain better do something pretty quickly here to throw Hopkins off, because Hopkins is using his head and beginning to get to Jermain more frequently, and I don't think that's good for Jermain Taylor.
Jermain tried with 3 straight 1-2 combinations. In every instance, he landed or partially landed the jab and missed with the right hand.
Now there's some blood, I believe, on the bridge of Hopkins' nose.
And I'm not sure that the blood that was on Taylor's nose earlier was his.
I don't think it was.
There you go. Fire in the hole. Right there, baby. Stay there. Stay there.
Bernard Hopkins has certainly expended more energy in the first 6 or 7 rounds here than was the case in the last fight. Can he be as strong down the stretch? Taylor's corner doesn't think so. They believe he really is 40.
I know he's 40, but I think he'll be just as strong down the stretch. He seems more fluent right now. He seems to be more in the fight than Taylor is right now, and I think Hopkins is actually controlling the tempo of the fight right now.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hold you, X. He's playing defensive posture. I cannot pull those. When he attacks, I cannot pull. I must stand in. Step up in the pocket like a quarterback, baby, and fire. Step up in the pocket. I need you 10 yards down. Fire it. You understand me?
You understand? But when you do this, he gets and he steals little angles, make him look bad, pick him apart. When he drops down, where are we gonna go? Yeah, tasty.
And here, once again, you see Hopkins moving. You see his hands up and down, his head moving a little left, a little right, then he sneaks in with the straight right hand. Jermain Taylor doesn't have a chance to move, and you see Hopkins keeping that head down so that he doesn't get caught with a counter punch.
CompuBox numbers in round 7 find Hopkins landing 16 out of 28 punches, by far his best round of the fight. It looked as though Hopkins felt like he needed a good round to come back after Taylor had a big one in the 6th. And Hopkins starts the 8th with a right hand over the top. And Harold Letterman saw Hopkins winning that last round, stopping the win streak for Taylor on Letterman's card. So Bernard Hopkins has certainly fulfilled his promise to start earlier. Jermain Taylor has fulfilled his promise to do a better job landing his jab.
Well, he certainly hasn't dug himself a hole.
Big right hand by Hopkins lands, and Taylor retaliates with a right hand of his own.
But Taylor needs to start landing his first instead of letting Bernard land first.
They trade jabs and land.
Right now, to me, Jermain Taylor is fighting behind Bernard Hopkins, and that is not a good thing for him because he's not the more experienced fighter.
You're holding, Jermain. You're holding, Jermain.
Taylor got a couple jabs in and slipped Hopkins' jab. Now Jane 80 says Jermain's holding. I'm not sure how he can figure out which of the 2 guys he thinks he's holding. And over and over and over, he's warned Taylor.
Yeah, because Hopkins is smart enough to hold on the side opposite of Jane 80.
Wild looping right hand of the kind that Taylor promised he wouldn't throw in this fight.
And that shows you that he's getting very impatient and very anxious to land something.
That was exactly the mistake that he made repeatedly in the first fight and claimed he wouldn't do again tonight.
And after watching the way he's punching, all of his punches seem as though he's trying too hard. He's not being fluent.
that because of the pressure of fighting Bernard or the pressure of trying to prove that he's the middleweight champion?
The pressure of trying to satisfy the crowd and prove that he's the middleweight champion.
Something that Hopkins can take advantage of. 3 jabs for Taylor, 4 jabs for Taylor. Hopkins with a right hand and a body shot.
And a good low blow.
Jermain, you can't hit him.
They all are.
Another low blow.
Stop, let him off there, let him off. We're done now. That was a low one.
And Jermain Taylor's punch output has dropped tremendously in this round.
Good left hook, Taylor. His best punch of the round. Caught Hopkins flush with the left hook.
Don't hold his head.
Hopkins over the top. Taylor sneaked in 2 little left-hand body shots.
A little bit lower, and that would have been a dangerous right hand by Bernard Hopkins.
Good left hook by Hopkins. Hopkins insisted several times after the last fight. I had him out on his feet. Taylor, for his part, said, what in the world is he talking about? And Taylor clocked Hopkins with a good right hand to punctuate the round.
Cheap shot. When you get flat-footed, what is he looking for? And the only way he scores is when you get flat-footed. That's it. That's the only thing he does. Okay? How you feel? Your legs feel good? You feeling good? Okay, then show it.
Double jab right hand. It was set up by the jab. You a bad motherfucker with that. Let's have it. Let's have it. Don't bullshit and don't play with me, X. Don't get cute. Whoop that ass. You know what they want out of you. Whoop that ass.
Here at the end of the round, you see Taylor come in behind that jab and land a beautiful straight right hand on Bernard Hopkins, but it didn't seem to have much effect on Bernard because Bernard came up punching back right away.
The last right hand actually may have done more damage because he caught him a little bit more solidly with the last one. It was a shorter punch, too. The longer punches look spectacular, but they lose power in their arc. It's the punch that travels 6 inches that might hurt you.
This is the point in the first fight when Hopkins began to seriously step it up.
CompuBox numbers through 8. Taylor 77 out of 247. Hopkins 75 out of 210. Very even fight in CompuBox numbers. Little to choose.
If you love tactical fights, you'll love this.
Seems to me that Hopkins is starting to find the mark a lot easier. I think he's finding his range more. I think he has Jermain Taylor waiting on him more.
Well, he's been tremendously accurate with power punches in the last 2 rounds, and he landed another little left hook there. Hopkins fighting very confidently right now. However, because of bigger activity, Harold Letterman gave the last round to Taylor.
One more time, I say stop. You throw a punch. No, it was you, not him. Box.
Another good left and right by Taylor. Hopkins got in a right hand also.
Stop. What are you trying to do?
Right here, what
Stop.
Pat
Don't
Burns
hit him.
was trying to tell Jermain Taylor is he's overshooting himself.
Thank you.
When he throws the jab and the uppercut behind it or the hook behind it, he's too close to Bernard Hopkins by the time he throws it like that. And he can't land because he's overshooting his own target.
That's a matter of anxiety.
Anxiety and experience.
Almost intentional.
Hard right hand by Taylor.
That time you saw that he kept his difference.
Got the right range, threw it short.
Exactly.
You're holding. You're
If
holding.
he keeps his distance, he probably could land those punches.
Stop. You really can't grab the bottom of his legs. You did.
Repeatedly, Jay Nady has warned Jermain Taylor for holding. Hopkins is virtually without a warning in the fight. That's an upset. Little left hook landed for Hopkins after he missed big with the right.
No. Stop me.
Got Taylor on the defensive much of the time. But every once in a while, Taylor erupts and lands a 1-2. Good left hook by Taylor, backs Hopkins off.
Every punch landed is like gold in this fight.
Stop. Thank you very much.
This is a pretty even round as we come to the last 30 seconds. Who will steal it? Maybe Hopkins with a right hand.
I think Hopkins has Taylor very frustrated right now.
Taylor landed a jab there.
Well, I think he is frustrated, but
Hard right hand by Hopkins.
Set it up perfectly with the left. And now that's a Hopkins round.
That came from patience. That came strictly from patience.
Taylor missed with the right hand at the end.
You whoop that ass. Don't you bounce away like that. Right at the end, when you're with the roll of shoulders, he'll start running. Don't bounce away like that. Square down. He won't come. He won't come. End of the round, I need you in the center of the ring. Your jab is what's making it happen, X. The double jab.
Okay, if you stay flat-footed, you're going to give him the rounds.
Keep it up.
You got that left hand in your pocket. Now, hey, this is the championship rounds right here. Okay? You put your left hand down. Don't move your feet. All he's looking for is going to throw that right hand. He's going to score. You got to get your offense going. Work your jab.
Here you see Bernard Hopkins has the kid waiting on him. He throws 2 short jabs followed by a beautiful right hand. I think that's the best punch he's landed this fight. And that's mainly because he has Jermain Taylor waiting on him, fighting behind him, and that's not the place for the least experienced guy to be.
Power shots through round 9. Hopkins has doubled Taylor's connects, according to CompuBox. But Taylor has more than doubled Hopkins in the jab department. Interesting fight to score. Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
Okay, Jim. 87, 84, 6 rounds to 3. Jermain Taylor. Jim, I'll tell you, as I said before, I think Jermain Taylor's the bigger guy. When he lands, I think he's doing more damage, and I think Bernard Hopkins is guilty of landing 1 punch at a time. He doesn't double anything, and it's been a big problem for Hopkins.
I have the fight even, 4 rounds apiece, 1 even.
We've come to the last 3 rounds. As Pat Burns said, the championship rounds. This is where Hopkins is expected by conventional wisdom to take over.
And that's exactly what I see him doing right now.
Taylor doesn't appear to be as used up and as overeager and nervous as he was in the first fight. So I don't think that Hopkins can have that kind of success against him down the stretch.
If you're listening carefully to the commentary, you've noted that we have an interesting distribution of opinion. Harold Letterman thinks that Jermain Taylor's winning the fight. Larry Merchant thinks the fight is basically even. Roy Jones thinks Bernard Hopkins is winning the fight. That's great.
I think the momentum is on Bernard Hopkins' side.
You don't necessarily think he's ahead on the scorecards at this moment, in other words.
No, I'm not necessarily saying that he's ahead or behind on the cards, but I know the momentum is definitely on his side.
As he landed a quick little right hand there. Tries to come back with another.
Fighting a very smart fight, making the younger guy fight his pace. He has Jermain Taylor fighting behind him now, and it's definitely everything in his favor right now.
Hopkins seems to have seized the edge here earlier in the 10th.
Well,
this
here,
is over the top.
You know, here we're going to find out
Thank you.
whether Jermain Taylor is worthy of being a champion. What he does in this next 7 minutes of action.
Straight right hand. Drives Taylor back out of range. Left jab lands for Hopkins as Taylor was trying to come in. Right hand lands for Hopkins. Bernard's having a big round here in the 10th.
And as long as Taylor keeps waiting on him, he's going to continue to have big rounds.
Taylor needs to try to beat Hopkins to the punch and go back to landing his jab. Hopkins' right hand was partially blocked, but the crowd liked it.
I've seen debaters hurt each other more than these guys.
10 rounds in the books. Will go to the 11th and the 12th.
And it will. You okay? Get that. Hey, Jermain. Again, with the jab, you got to get your feet back underneath you. Your balance is off. Throw that jab, start working back underneath. You understand? You got to throw some punches now. You're just sitting there waiting to try to counterpunch him, and it's not going to work. Deep breath. You need these 2 rounds. You understand me? You need them. Okay? Suck it up. You land 2 shots.
What you want to do behind my right hand? You want to double the hook. You want to double the hook. All right, baby.
11th round, Bob.
You saw the CompuBox numbers indicating Hopkins has been the more accurate puncher since the beginning of the 7th round. Just as was the case in the first fight, Taylor seemed a little more active earlier in the fight. Taylor in the middle rounds seemed to be fighting his best yet against Hopkins, landing his jab. Bernard Hopkins is definitely the aggressor now. Right hand landed for Taylor. And another one. His 2 best punches in a while. And he rips Hopkins with a jab. Sudden rally for the Arkansas kid. Taylor's off to a great start in round 11. Big left hook. Maybe the best punch of the fight for Taylor.
Maybe he's catching his second win because now he's doing what he should have been doing all along. He's attacking Hopkins first.
Well, but also because Hopkins is not backing away as much. Hopkins knows that the fight is still in the balance. And if he wants to hit, he's going to get hit.
Suddenly, for a full minute, Taylor was able to impose his physicality on Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins needs a comeback in round 11 now.
Stop! Stop! Okay, stop now. Thank you.
Again, Taylor missing over the top. And when he fires the 1-2, and then they clinch, Hopkins loses time.
Yeah, but Taylor's overshooting himself very bad. And you'd hate to see him keep missing so big because every time he's just going too close to his target and his punches are way over Bernard's head. Like that. He can't do anything once he gets that close to Bernard.
But Hopkins hasn't landed anything significant in the round, and Taylor's had 3 or 4 big shots.
I think it's fair to say, because we've talked so much about the first fight, that this is a much different fight. Taylor, being more relaxed, is into the late stages of the fight much better than he was in the first fight. Question is whether Hopkins has won enough middle rounds to get a decision right now.
Stop! Stop! Don't do another punch.
On the 3 judges' scorecards in the first fight, 2 judges gave each of the last 4 rounds to Hopkins, and of course Dwayne Ford famously gave the 9th, 10th, and 11th to Hopkins, but the 12th to Taylor. That was questionable. This would not be. Taylor has dominated the 11th round. Big left hook for Hopkins. Drives Taylor back.
Stop! That was you.
He relaxed on the clinch, and Bernard Hopkins caught him holding and landing a big
Now
shot.
Taylor feels like he needs to reinforce the statement he made earlier. And another left hook. Taylor seals the deal and makes sure in the 11th. The fight is on the table, going to the 12th.
All right, we need you to wake up, X. We lost that round.
12th round, baby.
We lost that round. They taking that round from us. You know this. X, we need the investments underneath. You've heard him up top like last fight. We have to
Understand, all your movement is going to be away from the right hand. All the time, that little movement is right. You're going to make an adjustment. You're looking to stick it, keep the right hand short, and then come back up. Just keep coming back. Left hand, you understand?
My man.
Let him out this round.
You got it. That's all you got. That's all you got. Hard shit, X.
Big bear.
X, you're winning the fight. You're not winning the politics. Yeah.
Big bear.
That's dead.
Gubby, you got to have this round. It's dead even. Don't let him walk you. Don't let him walk you.
CompuBox numbers in the 11th round were even, but Taylor landed clearly the better combinations. Now we come to the 12th. You can see Jermain Taylor has already won the fight on Harold Letterman's scorecard, barring a knockout. Bernard Hopkins has one 12th round knockout in his career. That was after he had dominated Felix Trinidad through the first 11 rounds. Taylor's never had a 12th round knockout. He's in the 12th for only the 3rd time in his career.
Let's see what kind of a champion Taylor is. See if he can win this round.
I killed my ball.
Taylor's left eye's almost swollen shut. That's from Hopkins' right hands and maybe from a butt or two.
And that hook might have hurt Taylor just then by Hopkins.
Thank you.
Hopkins begins to get a little reckless, feeling the pressure after realizing he lost the 11th.
Okay.
This is a close fight in all probability, despite the fact that Harold Letterman has it a clear win for Taylor. These judges have been psychologically influenced, possibly over the course of the past few months, by Hopkins' political campaign. Big right hand for Taylor. The kid is showing guts. We know Hopkins has them. Another right hand for Taylor. Chases Hopkins into the rope. Left hook backs Taylor off. They're trading now.
He got caught with a good left hook after he landed that right hand on Hopkins.
But Taylor's punches are showier because of the arc and because of the power.
All right, we're stopping. We'll let go, let go, let go, let go. Step back,
Hopkins
please.
has been brilliantly accurate over the course of the last 7 rounds. Straight right hand lands.
Stop! I'm here. Let go, please. Thank you.
Hopkins again. The round is up for grabs, but there's a minute to go, and probably Hopkins is leading it.
And that right hand there has hurt Taylor very bad. If you catch him with it again, don't be surprised if Taylor doesn't go down.
Taylor wobbles. A knockdown could be huge at this moment. There hasn't been a knockdown in the fight. Inactivity or no, the crowd's on its feet, understanding the drama as it unfolds in the last minute. Is it the future or the past? Is it youth or age? Is it the fire of physical brilliance in youth? Or is it the experience and wisdom of the old warrior?
Whatever it is, I got a feeling we'll see it again.
Why? Why would you want to watch this again?
Because a person that truly understands boxing can understand this
Good
entire fight.
combination for Taylor. 4 punches landed in that exchange. He got Hopkins with the right hand.
No.
The last big statement of the fight was made by the champion. But Bernard Hopkins is celebrating, and so too is Taylor.
Good job, buddy.
I call this fight a draw. 5-5-2.
So that explains why we need to see it again.
Is that because you don't want anybody to win a fight of that quality?
Maybe in part. Maybe in part. Neither one seized the fight.
Harold Letterman gave the 12th round to Hopkins, and by the same score by which Taylor won on 2 scorecards in the first fight, he is seen by Letterman as the winner here again. That number, 115-113, is going to ring in Hopkins' mind for a long time if once again it is the critical number. Judges, Chuck Champa, highly respected, experienced judge. That score for Barrera in the second of the 3 Barrera-Morales fights was maybe a little questionable in terms of the margin for Barrera. We're just going to show you one score at a time. Patricia Jarman is famous here for having had Fernando Vargas ahead of Oscar De La Hoya 97-94 through the 10th round. She was the only judge who had Vargas leading in the fight. He did have his big physical moments against De La Hoya. And Dave Moretti is seen by some as a guy who is likely to favor Hopkins, partially because he had Hopkins dominating De La Hoya through 8. The other judges had the fight much closer. The suspense is thick. Let's go to Michael Buffer to hear the numbers.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. All 3 judges, Dave Moretti, Chuck Champa, and Patricia Marsh-Jarman, scored the bout identically, 115-113. All to the winner by unanimous decision, and still undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Jermain Bad Intentions Taylor.
Shades of Michael Spinks and Larry Holmes. For the second consecutive fight, Jermain Taylor has what may become a controversial decision over Bernard Hopkins. But just as was the case with Spinks and Holmes, all Hopkins will be able to do is express his disappointment. And incidentally, I told you about that number, 115, 113. Bernard Hopkins has fought Jermain Taylor twice. There were 6 official scorecards. 5 of them had Taylor winning, 115, 113.
And that's just what we have to go with.
Final CompuBox numbers. And the biggest thing in the fight is that this time, Jermain Taylor landed his jab. Even though Hopkins was more effective with power punches, even though he landed at a higher rate of accuracy, Taylor was able to impress the judges because this time he did not miss nearly as consistently with his key weapon. Total power punches, and you can see Hopkins' edge there. Big, 101 to 60. In most instances, that would win him the fight. How did Taylor win? He won it by getting his stick in, particularly in the middle stretch of the fight.
I also think you have to give him some credit for being more busy in the early part of the fight, too, because had he not been that busy, he would not have won the fight by that margin.
And one more thing, he was fearless in the 11th and 12th rounds. Larry Merchant stands by with the winner, Jermain Taylor.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations.
Thank you, Larry.
Jermain, what was the difference in this fight as compared to the first fight in your mind?
The difference in this fight, I think Bernard respected me a little more. You know, I think he didn't come out like he did in the first fight. You know, I came out this fight, man, I was determined to win. I was determined. I'm not taking away nothing away from Bernard Hopkins. Man, the man is an excellent fighter.
Would it be a correct observation that you were relaxed enough that in the last 4 rounds you were competitive where you weren't in the first fight?
Exactly. Exactly. He kept catching that right hand. I still got a lot of work to do, but man, I just did my best, Larry. I gave it all. I want to thank God, and I want to say to George, I love you, man. I'm sorry. Steph, love you, man.
What about the jab this time? Obviously, you were able to use it to better advantage. What did you see? Why were you able to do that?
Here's what I seen, Larry. I seen if I throw one jab, he'll always come back with his, but he'll miss. Then if I throw 2 jabs, I catch him every time. So I just start doubling the jab up.
Do you get frustrated fighting a fighter who is as clever and hard to do your stuff on?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, he is a clever fighter. It's hard to hit him. You got to throw everything in the book just to hit him. He's an excellent fighter, man.
All right, so give us your grade on this fight. B- the first fight. What about now?
I give myself a B. Give myself a B. It's not an A because, you know, I didn't knock him out. I still got a lot of work to do, but I did win it, and I'm taking the belts back to Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm so proud of myself.
You have every right to be. Thank you very much. Again, congratulations, Jermain.
Little Rock, Arkansas, I love
Jim?
you, baby. Razorback.
All right, so Jermain Taylor now has 2 wins over Bernard Hopkins. Imagine that. Taylor remains unbeaten, undisputed middleweight champion of the world. Roy Jones, he's on the threshold of what can now become a great career, but he's got some difficult choices to make. You say you'd watch Hopkins is with Larry Merchant.
Thank you, Jim. Bernard, a champion doesn't think he's beaten until he's beaten up. You haven't been beaten up yet. What do you think?
I mean, the cameras is on me, and seeing the cameras on Jermain Taylor, I think he looks the same or worse than the last fight, but that doesn't really shows the outcome as you see. The world's seen it. I mean, I did at the end good. I didn't, as he said, run all day. I stayed there. I counter-punched, had him rock a couple of times. He hit me with a couple of good punches, but
wasn't
just like the crowd.
Wasn't he fresher at the end than the first fight, and so he was more competitive in the last 3 or 4 rounds?
I don't think so, Larry. I think that every time he got tired or in exchange, he was taught to grab. He was told to grab in exchange, and that's what he did. I was getting stronger as the fight was lingering on, and he was holding and buying time, and I was, you know, the referee did warn him, I think 1 or 2 times, but again, I think that I did enough to win the fight, and I don't know how they gave him the last 2 or 3 rounds, because I think that the last round I definitely won. In the last 3 rounds, I was catching good shots where he was hurt a couple of times.
All right, Bernard, it's understandable in a close, hard, tough fight that you think you won, but you didn't.
I'm fresh as a daisy.
2 losses in a row. Is this farewell? You've had a wonderful career. Where could you possibly go from here?
Well, I'm gonna sit down with my my partner, Sugar Shane Mosley, Richard Schaefer and Oscar De La Hoya, and enjoy the rest of the months or the weeks and the months, and go into the new year with a fresh mind. But I'm not looking to be around too long because, you know, I'm be 41 in January. They ain't used to pushing the envelope, but I'm gonna sit down with my team and talk about it. But I believe that the fans will recognize that the 2 fights I had with Jermain Taylor was competitive fights, and that, you know, you give him credit for being competitive, but people got eyes, and even Ray Robinson lost. Ray Robinson won fights that he didn't get.
All right, so what I'm hearing is that there's still a chance you would want one more fight if it's not against Jermain Taylor, and I don't think that could happen. Maybe against the Winky Wright, maybe against some other middleweight or even light heavyweight. You're still open to that possibility.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Jim.
All right, Larry.
Bye-bye. Jim?